Hello, it's Knits for Sanity, and this is my husband. You can call him Dave or David. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Or if it's the day before, the day after, I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. Thank you for joining us today. The day that we are recording this, it is technically, or at least legally, our 20th wedding anniversary. December 6th. But really, we say our anniversary is...
Usually we say it's on the 4th.
The 4th. There was a bit of a misunderstanding. Fortunately, our pastor blames himself, but there's a 3-day waiting period in the state of Michigan to get your marriage license, and he didn't tell us that. So we went the day before our wedding to get our marriage license, and then that's when we learned that we couldn't actually get married the next day. So we still did get married on the 4th, and then on the 6th, my husband drove around and got signatures from everyone. Like, the pastor was not there when I signed it first. So for legal purposes, our 20th wedding anniversary is the 6th, but really it's the 4th. And the 5th is kind of like that no man's land, that in between. So we thought it might be kind of fun. I found a bunch of, you got to turn your phone back on for me. Questions. 295 questions. We aren't going to do 295 questions that you can ask your significant other. And I thought this might be kind of fun, a good anniversary activity for us. And of course, hoping that maybe some of you can relate, bring up some fun memories, or maybe some of these are questions that you would like to ask your own significant other. So, let's begin. Now, some of these, keep in mind, this is a public platform. Okay, so you gotta be careful.
Yeah, I was looking at that first question.
Yeah, the first question is, who was the worst teacher you've ever had?
But yeah, so that's mine.
My worst teacher, well, I was homeschooled for a while.
This could make Christmas difficult if you...
Right. So I cannot say that my mother was the worst teacher I ever had, because I am clearly still in close contact with my mother. And no, she was not. She was not the worst teacher I've ever had. Next question. What was your favorite show as a kid? This should be interesting because he did not watch normal television. Like, I grew up with TGIF. For people my age, he did not get to watch any of that.
You go first because I'm going to have to think.
He even had cable. I didn't have cable. Although, ironically, what was my favorite show as a kid?
Oh, it was probably Bewitched, maybe?
No, I bet it was actually the Brady Bunch.
Okay.
Because we didn't have cable. So, we had TBS, and that was pretty much as exciting as it got. And TBS would show old, shows in syndication, and the Brady Bunch was one of them. And it's not even that the show was good or that I even really liked. I mean, I liked the show when I was little. I started watching it when I was probably about 4, and my mom's like, I watched this when I was a kid. But I got to know the show so well, that within the first opening seconds of an episode, I could tell you exactly which episode it was. That is how well I knew this show. Have I mentioned I'm autistic? Like, this seems like a very neurodivergent thing. But it was just a lot of comfort because it was a show that I knew so well. So I'd have to say probably the Brady Bunch. What was your favorite show?
All right, I think... Yes?
Sorry.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I think I'd actually have to say Star Trek. It's a good show. Just because that's, like, I have the most memories connected with that because we would regularly watch the next generation, and
And by we, you mean you and your dad?
yeah, me and my dad, we'd watch it. Actually, the whole family. And Deep Space Nine. You know, we regularly watched all of them. So yeah, I think I'd have to go with Star Trek.
Ooh, what can't you live without?
Oh, well,
Coffee.
yeah,
Coffee.
that one's kind of easy.
Yeah. We're both avid coffee drinkers. What movie can you watch over and over again?
Because it's the holiday season, I'm going to say Muppet's Christmas Carol.
That's another one. I can watch that one over and over again,
Yeah.
too. That's a really good one. We also really like Christmas in Connecticut.
Yeah.
That's another one. What's your biggest dream for the future? I'll go. Financial stability.
Yeah.
Just right now in particular, we're really feeling this one. It's very frustrating. Yeah. But other than financial security, like actual dream. Biggest dream for the future.
Yes.
Separate bedrooms.
I worry about what mine would start to look like.
I would never step foot in it.
I don't say never. They're gonna assume things.
That's true.
It has been 20 happy years.
Yes, it has been 20 happy years, but
we just both like space and quiet and
yeah,
a place to decompress.
I'm jealous. Part of it is also he's over 6 foot, but I'm jealous of these people who are like, oh yeah, I love sleeping next to my spouse. Good for you. I don't sleep.
Yeah.
At least not well. So.
And my feet always hang off the end of the bed.
His feet hang off the end of the bed. I haven't been able to have a top sheet for over 20 years.
All right, so back to what's the biggest dream for the future? I'm gonna say it'd be nice to have like a house that could have like a reading, relaxing area.
Okay. You know, if we're going to go with that, for me, it would be a house where I have a room of my own. It is a craft room and library combo.
That would be nice.
That would be awesome. I'd have one wall that would have like all of my yarn, all of my knitting related stuff. And then I'd have a huge like workstation for diamond painting.
Yeah.
And then I'd have another wall that would be a library. And one open wall, of course. And then I'd have a cozy reading chair in there. It would be amazing.
Could we have space for really nice origami paper? Because some of it's really nice.
Can't you have that in your room?
Sure. Oh, we get separate libraries.
Yeah.
Ooh, separate
This
libraries.
is a dream.
That's right. This is dreaming. Yeah.
We can have as many libraries as we want.
So yeah, mine would have.
Actually, I always thought this would be fun. We should have a connecting door.
Ooh. No. Connecting secret room.
Connecting secret room, and we meet up in the middle where
Yes.
there's like 2 super cozy chairs.
Yes.
And maybe like a little like, what is it called?
Tea, coffee station.
Well, I was thinking alcohol, but
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
but something like that. Of course, it would probably only. I mean, this is you're talking as if we still have kids at that point in our lives.
Yeah, that's true.
But still, it doesn't matter. We can still have a secret room.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be the coolest grandparents ever. You know, my neighbors
Maybe
growing up, they had a secret room.
That's what made me think of it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And you know, they were grandparents by that point. So we can have our own secret room.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. That is our biggest dream for the future. Separate libraries / crafting rooms with a connecting secret room with bar. Coffee bar, tea bar, alcohol bar. Maybe a fridge for snacks. I like pastries. Really cozy chairs, great lighting.
This secret room just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
It's getting pretty big. It's going to be hard to keep it secret if it gets too big. Okay, tell me what you know about your birth story.
I know that my mom was shoveling snow just a day or two before I was born.
Okay.
And I think that might be about all that I know. But I heard about the shoveling snow a day or two before I was born many times.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't ever remember being told that part of it.
Yeah, I don't really remember anything else.
Who, was it your dad? Like, or was it your mom? Well, like, yeah, I was shoveling snow.
No, it wasn't so much like, I was shoveling snow. It was like, yeah, the weather was so weird that it was fine, and then all of a sudden I was shoveling snow, and...
His birthday's the very end of March.
Yep.
Now, I do know that you'll remember as soon as I bring it up. Your mom knew she was in labor. He's the oldest, first kid. And your dad had recently gotten home from work, and he was a family practice physician at the time. And asked, is there time for me to make a sandwich? And your mom did tell him, yes, but that was probably the worst mistake he ever could have made, is...
Yeah, I had forgotten about that.
Because
I don't know how I forgot about that.
I remember hearing about that pretty much up until her dying day. But, well, yeah, he had to eat before we could leave for the hospital.
Yeah.
Of course, he didn't do much better. So, our child number 2, I was on total bed rest and living at my folks about 70 miles away with our oldest daughter near the hospital. And I knew I was in labor. And I called him and I said, I'm in labor. We're going to go to the hospital. And first he was like, well, should I come down? Yes, pretty sure we're really having the kid this time. I have been in labor for hours. I'm intentionally waiting to make sure that I can get there. And they're like, yeah, we're having the kid. And he says, okay, I have to take a shower.
I don't even remember saying that.
It was like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it was like 1 a.m. I had been woken up from a dead sleep. So, like, the neurons were not all firing at that point.
But he got a shower and made it just in time for surgery. He cut it close that time. He cut it really close with number 4. I thought that one for sure I was going to be alone in the OR.
Yeah. Well,
everyone thought for sure. But he was that one was totally different. He was not close by. And it was an emergency situation. Yeah. So I told no.
And it was in the winter. It was snowing. I was trying to...
Child number 2 in the winter. It was snowing.
I was trying to get there fast, but also not end up in a ditch.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Okay, my birth story. I don't know a whole lot. My mom mentioned that, sorry for the squeamish, but her mucus plug had come out Sunday night at her parents' house. I'm also the oldest. She and my dad had gone there for dinner, and that's when she lost her mucus plug. And then Monday she started labor pains early in the morning. So probably about 12 hours later, she started labor pains. I'm not sure when they went to the hospital. I think it was maybe Monday night. And then they tried giving her an epidural, but it didn't take. Wait, no, it did take. Never mind, that's a lie. The epidural did take, but then the problem was she couldn't feel a thing. That's right, because then with my sister, it didn't take, and she delivered my sister naturally at 10 pounds. I was 7. My sister was 10 pounds. So she delivered naturally a 10-pounder. So by her third kid, the first one, the epidural took too well. She couldn't feel a thing and had a hard time pushing. That was me. The second one, the epidural didn't take, and so she ended up delivering naturally. And by the third one, they asked her, and she's like, no, I'm just going to have the kid. But with me, a chipmunk had chewed through electrical wires, and the hospital went without power. It was using backup generators when I was born. I was born in June. So that's my birth story. I got a little confused with the epidural situation, but I was very young. Both when I was born and when my sister was born.
Yeah.
So there we go. That was kind of a fun one.
Yeah.
All right, turn your phone back. Where do you want to live?
That's a toughie.
It's a toughie. Maybe I should go first?
Yeah.
I know where I want to live. Okay. It's not so much like place or region. I mean, there are parts of the world that I would like to live in. I'd love to live in like rural England. But I'm not thinking so much place. I'm thinking more like setting and house. And I would love to have a house slightly larger than what we currently have with a library, but it would be in the woods. I want no less than 10 wooded acres. I don't want to see a single neighbor. Right now, we're not, it's funny because when I describe it, we kind of have 5 wooded acres right now, but you know, we have neighbors. Our house is not a very good house. So I guess it would be a better built house, more privacy. That would be my ideal.
Yeah.
Actually, but then just a few miles away, so this would be like English countryside, just a few miles away, there would be like a pub and a little store.
Yeah.
So even within like a mile and a half walking distance, I'd have access to that stuff. Because like right now, we don't have that. We kind of live out in the middle of nowhere. And even our closest store, 10, 12 miles away, it's overpriced and but anyway.
Yeah.
That would be, I think, where I would love to live.
Yeah. Really, it's what we've got now, just slightly higher quality and a little bit closer to, the button's right there.
Well,
So slightly higher quality and a little bit closer to amenities.
is there any particular type of clothing that you find really sexy? And naked is not a type of clothing. Well-fitting jeans. Well-fitting jeans on a man, I think, is quite sexy. Okay, your turn. I asked the question because I already had an answer.
I honestly don't know.
He doesn't know. He just likes naked.
Well, you specifically.
That's good.
Whatever my wife is wearing.
Good man. What's the scariest movie you've ever seen?
The Shining.
And who showed it to you?
You.
Yeah. And you know why I showed it to him? Because it's the scariest movie I'd ever seen.
And it is.
And what we've discovered with The Shining is if you're kind of like us, introverts, and you spend a lot of time in your own head, The Shining is terrifying. When we show it to friends of ours who are definitely extroverts, and, you know, they get their energy from being with other people, and I don't think they spend time, like, inside their heads the way that we do, they don't find the movie at all scary. Not at all. They find the, like, jumpy movies, the, you know, horror films, they find those to be scarier. That's just what we've observed. But The Shining, for us, terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
I can't wait to show the kids.
On like a deep,
Yeah.
unsettling level.
Yes. 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 So there we go. I knew that answer. Describe our wedding day.
It really was wonderful. So it was...
And we're talking about what we consider our real wedding day, by the way.
Yes.
The 4th, when we actually had, like, the ceremony.
The 6th was boring. It involved driving around and signing legal documents.
Yeah.
So December 4th, we got married in this Victorian mansion that had been converted to bed and breakfast, but had also been physician's office, wasn't it?
Well, it was built by a physician.
Okay, that's it.
And his family lived there and he practiced
Yep.
there. So one
Yep.
half was like doctor's office and
Yeah.
the other half was living quarters.
So Victorian mansion, been converted to bed and breakfast type place. All decorated for Christmas. And this is described wedding day, right?
Describe our wedding day.
Okay. I went to Schuler's and I got myself a very nice lunch. My cousin,
Schuler is a locally owned
bookstore / cafe,
yeah, there's a couple of locations. A few locations.
but
Across Michigan.
went there,
I'm done
drove down.
His cousin was his best man.
It was a really nice. I seem to remember it being a really nice day.
It wasn't. I was kind of disappointed because I had been hoping for snow.
Okay, I couldn't remember if there was snow.
Well, we had some snow flurries during the day, but
Okay.
there was no snow. But it was a nice day. I think it was a clear day.
Let's see, a really nice, really small ceremony. The wedding ceremony we had, like, it was less than 20 people total, including us and the minister.
Mm-hmm.
So really nice, small, intimate ceremony. And then a little break. And during the break, we played Oak Ridge Boys' Christmas album. And
From 1980.
And one thing that I remember about that is Valerie had asked me, as we were planning, Valerie had asked me if we could play the Oak Ridge Boys Christmas at the wedding. And she meant, like, you know, in between ceremony and reception or during reception or something. And I had thought she meant, like, during the actual ceremony. And so thankfully I asked when she was thinking, and so we got that clarified. And then just a really nice reception with good food, and we unfortunately discovered that you're mildly allergic to walnuts.
Well, it took years to figure out that's what it was.
Thankfully, not like bad. This
Severely
didn't,
allergic.
Yeah,
But,
this did not involve anaphylactic shock or a trip to the ER or anything. But we had the reception. Cake was really good. There was no smashing it in each other's faces. And then we started driving home. You realized that we had forgotten the Bing Crosby Christmas album there, so we had to drive back and pick that up. And then we went to our like 2.5 floor apartment. It's a long story. This was an interesting apartment.
It was a very interesting apartment.
We called it our non-Euclidean apartment because, like, none of the ceiling joints matched and there were odd side rooms. And we listened to Bing Crosby Christmas while we decorated the tree, and we watched Christmas in Connecticut.
Album. Yes, and we watched Christmas in Connecticut. Yeah, that is what we did. Now, I should also point out, I don't like country music. The Oak Ridge Boys, my father had recorded onto a cassette tape from a record that my uncle had of what at that time would have been like a new album. And so I grew up listening to this recorded version on a cassette tape for years as a kid, and I loved it. You know, one of my first favorite memories is dancing around our first living room listening to music, and especially this album, specifically the first song, Jesus is Born Today. I loved that one. So for me, the album's very nostalgic, and to this day, I don't start playing it until after December 1st. So I've broken it out a couple times now. But that was why that was that album.
Yeah.
The other things that I remember, we didn't have a marriage license. We almost could not light the Unity candle.
Oh, that's right.
Because my mom had cut the wick way too short. So when we went to try and light light the unity candle. We could not get it lit. It finally lit when we burnt enough of the wax around the base of the wick. Then it finally lit. And my maid of honor had forgotten his wedding ring.
I didn't mention that part.
Upstairs, like in the room that we had gotten ready in. And it didn't faze me at all. It didn't bother me. But I think it shocked everybody else when I'm like, oh, well, we forgot your ring, so we're just going to pretend. Like it didn't.
Yeah, it was. And
it did. I mean, it really did bother me. It meant nothing to me. And to this day, he doesn't even have his wedding ring anymore. I occasionally wear a fake one. The rings were never very important to us, but I think it like threw everyone off. Like, what do you mean you don't have his ring?
Yeah, and it really didn't faze either of us, and we were both just thinking, like, it's just upstairs,
right? You know, it was just 2 floors above us. It wasn't a big deal, but yeah. So there was that. I didn't hardly eat anything because, of course, I was so busy and talking with everyone. But yes, something I did eat must have had walnuts. It took years to put together, but I do have a nut allergy. And so whatever I had, something had walnuts, and that was one of the few things I ate that day. And then I, swollen tongue and so yeah. But it was a nice day. It was very, very us. It was very, very small. Yep. Our reception was kind of like an open house style. We stayed at the mansion. 60 people total had been invited. Probably about 54, 55 showed up. Yeah. And they just kind of came and went as they wanted. It was really nice.
It was.
So.
Oh, and your dad sang to us afterwards.
Oh, that's right. And then in between, he didn't want to do it during the ceremony because he really wasn't sure if he'd be able to hold it together. So after the ceremony and before the reception, my dad sang to us a song that he had sung in churches a lot when I was a kid. He made you something special. You're the only one of your kind. So he sang that, and that was really sweet. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of fun because we learned after we were engaged, our fathers actually went to the same high school. They did not know each other. They were 2 years apart. His dad was 2 years ahead of my father. But they never knew each other, but they actually went to the same high school growing up. So then when my uncle showed up and one of Dave's uncles showed up, it was like this old like high school reunion between all of them. Yeah. And none of them knew one another at all. Yeah. But they'd all gone to the same high school. So that was kind of funny. And funny because the high school was located 100 miles away, and like these were people that had come from like different states and stuff, and so it was just kind of interesting that they had all gone to the same high school. Yeah, that was kind of fun. Sadly, a lot of those people have since passed away. Yeah, a lot of the people that were at our actual wedding ceremony have since moved on. But it's been 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years is a long time.
So, yeah. But it was a good wedding. Turn your phone back on. What are the best things about being a parent? We have 4 kids. 3 daughters, 10th, 9th, 8th grades, and then a little 3rd grade son. So what are the best things about being a parent?
As they get older, I love moments of connection where you can tell that there's really something that you're sharing with them. Yeah. And times where you see them like overcome something or work something out, like push themselves to figure something out or overcome something, that's really cool. That spark that you see. What are yours? What are some of yours?
For me, I think it's almost like a twofold thing, where on the one hand, the best part about being a parent is watching these 4 people grow and mature and become 4 unique individuals. And it's this just wonderment of, yeah, I definitely see similarities of me or of him in there, but they're their own person.
Yeah.
And that's really cool to watch. So that's one half of it, is just seeing the creation and formation of 4 unique individuals is pretty awesome. And then the other side of it for me, particularly now that we do have girls that are teenagers. Now all of them are actually teenagers.
Yeah.
I feel like as humans in general, I think for a lot of us, it doesn't feel like our teenage years were ever really that long ago. And that's just based on brain development things. You know, by the time you get to be in your teenage years, there are definitely aspects of your brain that have reached adult maturity. A lot of your brain has not yet, but
Yeah.
you are in many ways more adult than you are child. And so I think as people in general, our teenage years never really feel that far removed from where we're at now, even though it's been now well over 20 years since I've been a teen. But then watching my own children at that age and realizing, okay, wow, I have grown a lot. Like seeing that I have not remained stagnant as a person.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
It's just realizing the growth that's happening everywhere with my children, with me.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. And I'll add to especially when they're younger, when they're littler, that sense of wonder again. Like I loved taking the kids on walks around. We've got plenty of woods around our house, so taking them, walking around in the trees in the woods and exploring, and like lifting up a dead log to see what's under there, and just when they're first discovering stuff.
Definitely the best part when
Yeah.
they're small children is everything's new and exciting. And you forget that at one time it was new and exciting to you too,
Yeah. And anytime that I love reading to them, and so like snuggling up together and reading, that's
having a baby fall asleep on your chest.
that is fun. Then they wake up.
Then they wake up.
But no, that is really nice.
That is one of the most wonderful feelings, I think, is having a little baby asleep on your chest.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've had that.
Yeah.
9 years since we've had that.
Yep.
Which is crazy. I think I know what yours is, and it's okay, you may share it, but what is your earliest memory?
Oh, okay. So my earliest memory is I had a sister who passed on she was about 18 months old. I was about 4.5. My earliest memory is actually her visitation. Is holding her hand at her visitation. And that's my earliest memory.
Yep.
And it's okay. It hasn't made me like lifetime. Well, I'm not sharing this as a woe is me thing. That's the first thing I can remember.
And I like that you shared it, because sometimes those first memories are formed because they are hugely significant.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it was hugely significant.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite book as a kid, or at least one of them?
Ooh, favorite book. This is hard. It's hard because there were a lot of favorite books.
We were both big readers. Surprise! Since our two library
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, 2 library future, both English majors. I was a librarian for a while.
Medical
Yep.
librarian.
Hospital librarian. Hold on, I'm staring at the bookshelf that is within sight.
The one of 4
Yeah.
bookshelves within sight.
Oh gosh. Or actually, you know what? I'm gonna say my favorite book from when I was a kid was The Time Machine
Okay.
by H.G. Wells.
Interesting.
Because I remember reading it and going, whoa, this is so cool. Yeah, it's not one that I've like reread a whole bunch of times, but I remember reading it and just being amazed by the story and the idea, and it like opened up, new world of possibilities. So yeah, Time Machine.
About how old were you?
I was actually Havelock's age. I was in the 3rd grade
Okay.
when I read that one.
Okay. For me, I mean, like, I loved Nancy Drew. I read a lot of Nancy Drew. I've always loved mysteries. Always loved mysteries. But I think my favorite, or at least one of them, was definitely Harriet the Spy.
Oh, that was a good one.
I loved that book. I remember it was like that book really spoke to me. Even though like her life was completely different from my own, an only child growing up in New York City, kind of wealthy. But it was being misunderstood. Harriet just being misunderstood and having her innermost thoughts being exposed and revealed. And the lessons, she had to learn about not being so hypercritical obviously comes to play in there, but it was specifically that feeling of, just feeling misunderstood, like people don't get me, really meant a lot. And I know that's true for a lot of girls who have read Harriet the Spy. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. Green. Oh, look, we're dressed appropriately. What was your favorite childhood outfit? This might be more of a girl type question.
Yeah, I didn't really have one. Like something that was comfortable. Not itchy church clothes.
Well, amen to that. He thinks he had itchy church clothes. My grandma made me these dresses. They itched and they had lace on them around like the neck and around like the, what are these, your wrists? Oh, it itched so bad. Anyway, those were not my favorite childhood outfits, but I did, when I was really young, I had like this mustard colored sweatshirt that I loved. Loved that mustard colored sweatshirt. And then like during grade school, I had a set of shorts that I had them in pink, purple, and blue that were a soft, cozy short. I loved those. And when I was like 4th grade, and please remember, this is like circa 1990, guys, okay? I had this hot pink shirt and these cool shorts that were all those like fluorescent colors with like the black in there, you know?
Oh, man. Yeah.
That was one cool outfit. That was a cool outfit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just loved sweatshirts. I always just wanted to become... Well, you know why I loved sweatshirts? I always wore a sweatshirt every day to school with a t-shirt underneath. And then actually, as I got older, I always wore a cardigan to school, both high school and then in college. I owned like more than 20 cardigans at one point in my life. But I always wore a sweatshirt. First, it was like a security safety thing, but then also I could take the sweatshirt off during the day, fold it up in my lap, and hide a book in there and read all day during class. Thinking that like my teachers
Didn't catch on
that I was just reading all day.
Yeah.
They knew. But I wasn't causing problems and I was doing fine academically. So yeah, third grade was awesome. I just read all day long, every day. It was fantastic. I also read during recess inside of my winter coat.
It was fun though.
I had an oversized winter coat. And it was light colored and the interior was like a pale yellow. So it actually was really light in there. And I'd sit down, put my coat up over me, and I'd read. It was fantastic. Your phone turned off again. What posters did you have on your wall as a teenager?
Oh boy. Which one of us goes first?
Go ahead.
Okay. I had a lot of posters up. Let's see. We had Joy Division. I had a map of Middle Earth. Let's see, Dead Kennedys. I can't remember if I had a Rancid poster. I had like a lot of bands, a lot of band posters. I would sometimes print off song lyrics and put those up too. Stuff related to D&D or some of the White Wolf games. Yeah, that about covers it.
I'm trying to remember. I had probably my favorite one was Abbott and Costello's "Who's on First."
Oh yeah, I remember that
routine.
one.
That was on my wall. I did not have like. Yes, it was, 90s and posters were on my wall, but I was not a typical preteen teen. So I had Abbott and Costello, "Who's on First" routine on my wall. That was a huge poster. I had like a little Anne Frank poster with a quotation by her on there. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of my own personal drawings.
Oh, yeah.
Up on my walls. Couple of like smaller Disney posters. I'm trying to remember.
Shirley Temple?
Oh yeah, and I had some pictures of Shirley Temple hanging up. Not necessarily like posters, but yeah, some Shirley Temple pictures. Like I said, I was not a normal teen. This is a good one. Because it's always a fun story to share. What were our first impressions of each other? You go first, dear.
Okay. So my first impressions of Valerie, I thought she was beautiful. I was kind of smitten right from the get-go. But I also thought she was you were really smart and well-traveled and exciting and interesting. I was just kind of like, wow. Right from the get-go. Yeah, that about covers it.
My first impressions of him.
Yep.
One of the most annoying people I'd ever met in my life. Oh my word, he was so annoying! It's because he thought I was, of course,
Yeah.
this angel. But yes, I found him to be so annoying. I would go out of my way to be able to avoid him on campus.
I would go out of my way to try and find her.
Yes. So that was my first impression. Clearly things have changed and it's worked out.
Yep.
Did you poison me?
No.
No. Magic spell?
The magic spell. And here's the lesson.
Here's the lesson, kids? I don't know.
No, the magic spell was, if anything, realizing like, okay, she's not interested in me at this point, but I still think she's a really cool person. I can still be her friend and get to know her. And actually sticking with that, because I didn't try and hound you into a relationship. That doesn't work. That's a bad idea. Don't do that. But I really did think you were a really cool and interesting person that I wanted to know. And so we became actual friends.
True. That is actually true. It was. Once he took his foot off the gas and was chasing after me romantically because I had no interest, then I was able to just get to know him. And that is what ended up working out. So that's very, very true. Okay, so now just some general Christmas things. What were some of your favorite Christmas gifts when you were a kid?
Oh.
Like, did you ever have a year where it's like, I want this Christmas gift more than anything else? And did you get it? Was Santa good to you? Did you have Santa Claus?
We did.
You did?
We did.
Okay. I couldn't, because it's like, I couldn't remember for sure.
Yeah. We had Santa Claus, but the day that Santa visited varied a little bit. One of the things about having a dad who's a doctor is that, like, there is no planned holiday schedule, because...
Well, and especially when he was very little, his dad... Oh, no, you just knocked off the donkey. No. Your dad was a family doctor, so that was a little more routine. But then...
Yep, then peds.
Then he went back and did a second residency for pediatrics, and then he was a hospitalist. Yes. So now he's working in the hospital, so now you don't have a schedule, but... So you did. Your Santa would come at different times.
Yeah. I can't remember any one specific book, but always lots of books. There were always lots of books on the list.
There wasn't like one thing though that you remember really, really, really wanting?
Not that I can remember. And I think part of it is just like I have a terrible memory. Or I suppose the one thing that I do remember, and probably just because it was a family tradition for a while, my grandparents, whenever a grandkid turned 9, they would get the granddaughters a dollhouse, and they would get the grandsons a model train. And I do remember getting the model train, and I thought that was really neat. And I really enjoyed doing stuff with that for a while. Yeah, so I do remember that one.
I feel like, though, you probably also... You got more stuff during the year.
Yeah.
You know? Versus, like, I mean, I didn't. You received things, like a couple gifts at your birthday and a few presents at Christmas. And, I mean, that was it. So, that might be some of the difference here.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, I would say most Christmases, there was something that I wanted more than anything else. The Christmas when I was... First Christmas in our new house. We moved when I was in the 1st grade. That was the year that McDonald's had Muppet Babies plushes. And boy howdy, I wanted Miss Piggy or Kermit the Frog more than anything else. And so that was in our stockings. I had Miss Piggy, sister under me had Kermit, and no, she had Fozzie, and youngest sister, I think maybe was given Kermit. But that was that year. I wanted that Miss Piggy stuffy from McDonald's. Then the next year, it was a Purr Tender, which they were these stuffed cats that came with like masks. But then you could squeeze them and they would purr. Ooh. So yeah, it was a purr tender. And then 6th grade, early 90s now, we're at early 90s, a Game Boy.
Oh yeah.
One of the original big gray clunky Game Boys. I wanted that for Christmas more than anything, but I knew it was going to be really hard for me to be able to get one because my parents had a $100 maximum spending limit on each kid for Christmas. And your Game Boy, just the console, cost $80. So I knew it was going to be kind of like, this is what I want more than anything. And I had to make it really clear. That's fine. I understand I'm not going to get anything else except a calendar because we also always got a calendar. And so that year I did. I got my Game Boy and it came with a game and a calendar. But I was so excited because that's what I wanted, was the Game Boy. So now when thinking about our own kids, you don't really do the Christmas shopping.
I'm terrible at gift giving.
Christmas happens because of me.
Mm-hmm.
He's
and
wonderful.
Santa.
And Santa. Santa Claus, definitely. Yes, me and Santa. But he's really good. He'll help with like cleaning and stuff like that. And so, because I like to have the house look clean Christmas morning. That means a lot to me. That's my Christmas gift. But one year, our youngest daughter, she loves the Muppets. I mean, loves the Muppets. And her older sisters, the previous year, had gotten American Girl dolls. And they opted for ones where they picked out like what they looked like. Well, daughter number 3 really didn't want an American Girl doll. She was 4 or 5 years old at the time. She wanted a talking Kermit the Frog. And I thought, okay. And of course, she full on believes in Santa Claus. And Santa Claus can make a talking Kermit the Frog. All right. Well, by this point, I'd already become pretty adept at looking around online for different Muppet related things because this kid, she really wasn't into that many toys. She liked Muppet stuff. And so I was already kind of good at like hunting around. And I found a Kermit the Frog, talking Kermit the Frog. And I was able to give that to her for Christmas. I mean, it was a discontinued item. Actually, I see him. We'll go get him. But I just remember feeling so accomplished. Like, yes!
You were really excited.
I was so excited because I actually found her a talking Kermit the Frog. And it was found it on eBay. It was some nice old man, Southwest somewhere, Arizona probably. He sold it to me for a very reasonable price for what it was worth. It was brand new in box, which that was the other, like, it needs to look not exceptionally well loved, right? Like, it needs to look like Santa just made it. And yeah, it was just, that was the best. So yeah. I'm going to go get that Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
Here he is. Other hand.
Together again. Gee, it's good to be together again. I just can't imagine that you've ever been gone. It's not starting over, it's just going on.
Talking Kermit, and he says several different things.
It's not that easy being green. Yay! Hello, Kermit the Frog here. Oh, hi there.
So, yeah, this was my favorite Christmas find for the kids.
Yeah.
Favorite birthday gift for the kids is probably knitted Kermie.
Oh, yeah.
For Evie's same daughter's 4th birthday, we did surprise parties for all the kids when they turned 4 because I had a surprise party when I turned 4. And I knit her a Kermit the Frog. And that was
really impressive.
Quite. I found and bought a pattern from like 1980 on Etsy. And knit her a Kermit the Frog. So that's probably my favorite birthday gift. So, yeah, so here's Kermit. What is one of your favorite Christmases, you and me, since we've been married?
Oh, favorite Christmases. I don't know. It's that bad memory again. You go, I'll see if I can remember anything.
I do know one year, Havelock, I think, was about 2, so probably 7 years ago. The weather was really bad and we got snowed in and we're not able to go to my parents' house that year for Christmas. And that ended up being a really nice Christmas. I remember the girls played together so well that day.
Yeah.
Havelock was happy that day. It was actually a relaxing Christmas. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite.
Yeah. I remember there was a Christmas too when the girls were younger. And in my family, we had a tradition where we'd put out luminaries on Christmas Eve in our neighborhood. So we'd, get a bunch of paper bags, little sand at the bottom, little tea light, and we'd put those at the houses. And the girls were old enough that they could really start to understand and get into it. And so we had an Usborne Christmas Carols book, and we spent the month before waiting for the school bus in the morning, practicing all these different Christmas carols. And so when Christmas Eve came around and it was time to do the luminaries, they knew all kinds of Christmas carols. And so we were able to do the whole thing singing, and there were neighbors of my parents who came out and they listened to the kids. And yeah, so I remember that one. That was a really good one.
We still do that Christmas Eve with his dad. So it's not my favorite tradition, but means
It's
a lot.
nice. Yeah.
It means a lot to Dave and the kids. So
Yeah.
for that, I respect it and enjoy it. Just like on my side of the family, we always watch White Christmas on Thanksgiving now. It's not his favorite tradition, but he's come to respect it and enjoy what it means.
It really isn't a bad movie. And
So
it's the tradition and family stuff.
I don't know. There's some things that you do just do it because it's tradition, I guess, because it's comforting and because of the memories that are tied with it. So that's why there are some traditions you just do.
Yeah.
Now, if the tradition's bad, get rid of it. You don't have to do it just because it's traditional, but...
Yeah.
So, I think that probably about wraps it up for us. Happy 20th wedding anniversary to you.
Happy 20th anniversary.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to all of you. Hope you've had a wonderful holiday. And come back and visit anytime.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes.
This is Elfie, who surprisingly let us do that whole
join us once.
whole video without him. Could not believe it.
Yes, you are. You're a good boy.
I thought for sure we would be fighting with him for the whole video, and he sat on his the PED in the kitchen. He didn't come by us once. Thank you so much for joining us for Crafting for the Holiday, this Christmas premiere. Tomorrow I will release a longer version of this same video that will include about 26 bonus minutes of content. Again, happy holidays. I hope you're having a wonderful season.